Alright, it's the day after we've done the island cleanup.
Wait, what island cleanup? Yes, we're going back in time. Back to Port Douglas. Back to a time when we did our first island cleanup at Snapper Island. That time.
We are all absolutely shattered. There's no energy left on the boat. So rather than hang around in the marina, whereas there's lots of midgies and lots of people, and people come up to the boat, and normally that's awesome, but we have zero energy left, so we're trying to rest and it's really hard. So what we're thinking is we were just going to go out to Low Isles, which is about an hour's steam. Coral Reef, pretty isolated, really good anchorage out there. There's public moorings up to 25 metre boat, up to 34 knot wind, so like decent anchorage. Good holding if we ever needed to anchor out there. We anchored last time we were there. So we're going to go out there now. So I'm going to start the engine up, and then you're going to see a very low energy exit from a marina.
While we're out there, Alena and Birk look at some spiky plants and see a miniature megalodon, while Birk unleashes his OCD and starts labelling things. And I do important research to make sure the pillows are still working correctly.
Brupeg was a sunken fishing trawler that was stripped out and ready for the scrapyard. She's just completed a 10-year rebuild that's brought her back to life. With the help of volunteers and funded by our Patreons, community and subscribers, she'll be crewed by passionate people from around the world. If you'd like to be involved and support the project, please consider joining us on Patreon or subscribe to the channel. There's a link in the description below.
While we've got a fair amount of time, we're going to take advantage of Brupeg's incredibly slow anchor winch. Talk to you about our recent GoFundMe. It was incredible. You guys absolutely blew us away. We were hoping for $2,000 to be able to put some provisions in the boat to stay at Coconut Beach longer, to dig some of these really hard to get fads and ropes out of the sand. Currently, you guys have donated nearly $15,000, which is just unbelievable. You're amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's incredible what this makes possible. And she's still pulling the anchor up.
Thank you for choosing to steam with Brupeg Air. We understand you have a number of airlines you can choose to fly with, and we appreciate your business. Welcome to Low Island. The weather on our landing will be around about 24 degrees. The water temperature is lovely, and you will probably even see some fish. Thank you very much. Your captain has put on the seatbelt sign. Please put your tray tables up ready for landing.
And enjoying complimentary screening of our newest movie, Fish, Fish and More Fish.
Dopey. He's relatively slow.
Look at your big face, you big fluff.
This guy's kind of like the Lamborghini of the sea. Look at that. Oh, the deft maneuvers. And then you have the tractors of the sea. Gavin. And then there's this fish. Weird, foreign, possibly European.
Recovery over. Time to head back to Port Douglas, stock up on food and water, and then get out of there.
Alright, we are leaving Port Douglas for about the 9th time, but we are leaving this time. So the plan is we are currently anchored in a little wee spot tucked in with a whole bunch of other boats. And that's because all of the wharfs and marinas and stuff are busy, so we only need to be here for like 2 hours. So rather than muck around trying to find the space, we just thought we'll come up and anchor. I'm on the boat because the anchor isn't holding that great where we are, so I'm just... Not that we're going to drag, there's no current, there's no wind, it's fine. So it's the weight of the anchor pretty much just holding us as we are right now. The guys are off the boat, they're going to the local supermarket. So the plan is to push on because there's a weather window that's closing on us fast. So we've got 2 days of decent weather and then it starts blowing its guts out. So we're going to get to hopefully Cooktown and just wait out the wind in Cooktown. Cooktown's renowned for being windy, but we're just going to let a big blow just pass over us at Cooktown. And then we're going to carry on heading north. We're heading up to Lizard. We've got 3 beaches that we need to do data transects on up there. So hopefully we'll be at Lizard within maybe 5 days, I'd say. I think we've got 2 days of possible travel weather and 3 days of pretty shit winds, possibly 4. And we'll be leaving on the back of that to get up to Lizard. Just coming through the harbour now. Other 2 markers up there you can see. I'll do my best not to run into that one. Just leaving Port Douglas for the last time. We're heading to Hope Island today. These guys heard we were going out today. They thought they'd come out for a look. What are you doing, pussycat? You're looking pretty relaxed up here. This is not a stressed pussycat. I like it. We're coming up on the islands. There's one just there, small one. There's a bigger one there, but there's big reefs on either side sticking out to windward on either of them. The wind's starting to come up a little bit, not by much. We've probably got 10-12 knots following, but the sea's starting to build as that wind starts to come up. But one of the things I wanted to show you is just how unbelievably blue this water is. I really hope the camera shows it. We've had cracker conditions all day. It's been pretty flat most of the day, not a lot of wind. Starting to get the waves lumping up behind us. But we're going to tuck into this reef tonight. This is called Hope Island. There's a little lighthouse off to the side of it there. There's basically two reefs with a navigatable channel between them. And then on the far side over, well over on this side, about an hour away, there's a reef called Cairns Reef, which is a great big U-shaped reef. We're thinking we may get over there, we don't know, just depends on weather, and if we don't get there we're probably just going to anchor here for a night or two, and then we'll go into Cooktown, which is 2.5 hours behind where we're heading tonight. So Lena's out on the bow. She's going to pick up one of these two moorings in front of us. Jess is out the back. She's pulling the dinghy in as soon as the line goes slack. We've got Google Earth up so I can see this reef structure. We're double checking that with the drone over there. Birk's got the drone so that we can be absolutely certain that we don't smack into a reef. But because of these moorings are public moorings, there's a pretty good chance they're nice and clear. So chart doesn't really give you a lot of detail. That's the chart there. It's kind of a bit rubbish. So we're at Hope Island. It's the morning after we arrived. Hope Island in the background over there. Again, not allowed to go on there because it's a bird sanctuary. Because of that, we're not allowed to go on the beach. So we're going to stay on the boat and do a bit of work. Birk is cutting out some labels for each of our cabins.
One done, a bunch more to go. Have to clean up all those edges.
The front of the boat. The first sort of thing that we've built that started to fail, and it's not a massive failure, but this here is cracking in there. I'm sure you can see that crack, and there's another one just showing up there. This is mild steel, this is stainless. Maybe there's an interaction between the two. We didn't do good enough when we welded, but we have to fix that because that stainless pole that's over there, we use that to basically hook in and undo this. So these have to be nice and strong. So we're going to go down and re-TIG weld these this morning. Maybe that gets an upgrade later. If it keeps cracking and being a wally, we'll maybe upgrade it later. But it's lasted 1,000 miles so far, and we'll do a better weld on it this time, and hopefully it'll last. All right, wheel off. Let's go and clean it up and then weld it. So are you comfortable with what I've shown you?
I think so.
Cool. I'll just come back in 10 minutes or so, and if you've got any questions I can answer them and go through it.
Okay.
Alright. How'd you get it?
I think okay. There might, I don't know if there needs to be some filler on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd put some filler on that. Just because see how it sort of, you've got undercut, like it dimples in.
Yeah.
I'd just add a bit in. I'd add it all the way around. That's looking pretty good. All right, now that she's done a good job on that, she's welded those 3 legs up pretty well. Helena's jumped up the front. We're gonna fit it. So just a bit of anti-seize, because we're in the sea and everything likes to seize up. That's a shit ton. All right, wind that on. Done. All right, ready to go. So Birk's organising the dinghy, get that nice and tight. Weather is perfect, low tide, so there's lots of reefs and they're really easy to see, which is cool. And up the top, Cat is in cat prison, Elena's up front, ready to go. All right, let's do it. Do you want me to go forward? Can you pull it, like you got enough grunt to pull off there? Stand on it if it helps. Or just do your Olympic training all aimed at that rope. And we're off. So pretty awesome conditions. 2.5 hours we'll be in port today. Cat's already preparing for their active sleep schedule. Cool, boat's humming along. We are just pulling into Cooktown, so we're coming around here and then tucking in behind. And if we go right in close here, you can sort of see wharfs and pontoons and things like that. So we basically anchor in this channel somewhere down in here. Jess has set up the massage table up the top, so we can have in wheelhouse massages. The day bed. Oh, the day bed for the cat. Wee lighthouse right at the top.
Hello.
So I'm kind of wondering if we anchor here-ish. I don't think we can anchor over there, it's too shallow.
Next to the red one?
No, it's way too shallow up there. It's like 1 meter. See this yellow marker
Yeah.
behind the blue boat? I'm thinking literally in this gap right here. Coming into the port, we didn't quite realise how short the port was and also how narrow it was. So once we got in, we realised that there was nowhere to go. So a U-turn was in order, and then we snuck straight back out to the front. And we actually thought we'd temporarily anchor out the front and then scope it with the dinghy. But that anchor spot turned out to be really great, so we just stayed there. So we came in, and this is much narrower than we thought. So we were told basically you anchor in this channel, and this is where we get that information from, which is this book here. So it's showing the anchorages in this area here, but it gets progressively shallower. However, this is much shallower than what the book says, which is normal. This is a printed map that doesn't get updated, obviously, whereas these maps do get updated, but you can sort of see comes in at sort of 3.5 meters, 3 meters, 3.5 meters, and then it just goes to 0.4, 1.1, 1.1. It's just a big shelf, and it's right next to this boat ramp and this yellow buoy here. So the guys are getting ready. They've got our little sonar. They're going out and they're just going to do a bit of a sounding where we can potentially anchor, because where we are now is a wee bit exposed. We're going to get some wind and weather over the next few days, so we want to tuck back in if we can. So depth sounding in the tropics requires umbrellas because it's pretty warm. Right, so the guys have buzzed around all over here in the dinghy and done a bunch of different soundings, and it looks like it's all pretty difficult. We're going to stay where we are. So where we are is tucked right on the side of the channel between two of the yellow buoys. We're out of everyone's way, and we're just going to see how we go. And genset is also about to be shut off. There we go. Solar will probably kick in. Here we go. Tiny bit of solar creeping back up. We forgot to turn the generator off. Hence it was, the batteries are at 100% and the generator was just ticking over with virtually no load on it. We try and time everything so that we arrive with full batteries. So we time our generator when we're steaming. We'll put the generator on or off so that basically when we get there the batteries are 100% full. And it does a couple of things. It balances all the batteries because they're lithium, they need to be balanced. So having that 100% charge every now and again, every week or two, we do that at least once. and it balances all of the cells out, but also it means that we don't have to run the generator for a couple of days if the batteries are at 100%. So the plan, the guys are just going to do a sounding all the way around us to kind of get a rough idea of what we can swing. That thing that Jess has got in her hand is a little handheld sander. It's quite a neat little thing. It's just like a torch, but just basically zaps down to the bottom and back. Probably do up to maybe 25-30 meters with it, so it's pretty decent. So we're halfway up the tide right now. Yeah. Okay, so it's low. Basically we'll have maybe half a meter to a meter under us. With the boat anchored up, we decided to go and have a look around Cooktown. Alright, we are stuck in Cooktown, so the weather has turned to shit. It's blowing 25 knots, which isn't a huge amount of wind. We can push through that if we want, but there's a very specific reason we're not trying. The next steam for us is Lizard Island, which is about a 7-hour steam, something like that, at 8 knots. And it's great diving up there, it's a really good anchorage. But our project with Tongaroa Blue is actually flying the drone at about 10 meters at very slow speeds, about 1 to 1.5 meters per second along the beach. And that helps them map flows in the ocean to deal with like the waste on the beach and stuff. As such, of being stuck at Cooktown for the next week, we are doing some of the jobs on the boat. Birk has moved this bench up. This is in our office. We've put some timber up, some plywood. We're starting to organise this. Most of that will go up on the wall. We'll have a camera assembly bench. Here, what have you been working on?
I painted the ladder down. We put some carpet in. It's not quite finished yet, and then I finished off the last little bit of foam that was in the saloon area and put in insulation in the ceiling. And then we've been running just a few trips out to like clear out some of the like recycling and trash that's in the boat. My job this morning has been tidying up out the back here with the guys. So we've been clearing off all of the stuff on the back deck. The plan is to swap these dinghies over. So we've got Mishka up here and Colander in the water. Colander is back to its old tricks and full of water. So we need to deal with that. Our long-term Sika solution did not turn into a long-term solution. So the plan is to get Mishka up on the roof of Brupeg, and we're going to get Colander up on the davits again so we can fix the leaks. Also, we're going to keep it on the davits at that point from then on. We don't need Mishka very often, so we're going to get rid of her and put her up on the roof. And we're going to fix the 15-horse outboard today. So the engine is together. We just need to bolt the engine to the leg and then basically get everything running, new gaskets and so on. So that's today's plan. Hopefully we will have a running 15-horse outboard at the end of the day. We've used our little Zito water pump to saltwater hose the deck down and then flush the pump with fresh water, because it is our freshwater pump for our bladder, with our ladder hoses over the back there. Next job, swapping the dinghies over. That is what happens when a long-term Sika repair is not long-term. That's been bailed 3 times in the last hour or 2. So yeah, that's getting dealt with today. Birk's going to tow Mishka around the front. Lena's already up here, she's got the crane ready. We're going to drop that down and we're going to just lift it up onto the deck and then carry it up onto the roof. Our Australia flag is losing its British heritage. It is just a Union Jack with a star, but we're starting to peel off the corner of the Union Jack. So we glued a new one on, and that so far has lasted about 3 hours, and it's starting to peel away as well. Alright, next on the list, Colander. So the plan is we're going to lift it up, tie one side to the davits and then drop it back down, and that flings it over on its side. Makes it very easy for cleaning the bottom, also inspecting any damage. So we'll get that done, and then we can figure out how badly the Sika has failed. And we are probably going to re-Sika it because we just need to get it working right now and focus on getting the 15 on. Right, outboard is up, fuel tank is out, we're ready to go. What do you reckon the wind is? 20? Gust 25? Just checking to make sure that the holes still work for draining. Okay, dinghy's in dry dock. I think I found the hole. That's probably not helping either. Also probably not helping. I think it's basically that one and that one that are leaking the worst, eh? Or maybe that one.
That one.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's one right there too.
I actually meant this one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, warranty claim redone. So basically just nuked it again. Hopefully that will last another couple of weeks. We still need to weld it. We have the panels, we just haven't got to it. And when we get this thing going again, it's going to kill the sticker faster, which will provide more motivation, obviously, to cut the bottom open and weld it.
Cool. So to change the oil in outboards, they're all very similar. So this one's got a drain plug here and a fill port up here. This has got a drain here and a fill here. It's always the same sort of layout, because all this is a shaft that comes down to a gear spinning vertical and turns it into a horizontal motion. So it's just a right angle gearbox, if that makes sense. And it'll have a gear ratio, so I don't know what the ratio is, but it might be for every 2 turns of this does 1 turn, or something like that. Like it might be 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, whatever. And that's all it does. And the only thing that it does outside of that is puts it into either forward, reverse, or neutral. So it just changes which cog is actually being driven. They're pretty simple. They're pretty easy and simple beasts. So let's put this back in. We've got both of them loose, so you just want to undo this drain, and we want to see not water come out. That's a bad sign. That's a bad sign.
That definitely is a bad sign.
Gosh, it smells like weird. So that's a bad sign. We don't want water coming out. We want oil coming out. So it's a good thing that we found that this is terrible.
It smells terrible.
It does smell terrible. That lubrication water is rubbish. Right, bastard. Let's chop it up.
Really just water.
It's full.
Stinky water.
Stinky water. So that means that we've probably got this. Well, there's some oil. So it means we've probably got a seal that's dead in here somewhere. Have my guess.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fill it with oil and see if it's going to leak out anywhere.
Can I talk about it?
I don't want to talk about it. No. There's nothing wrong here. It's absolutely. No, I don't want to talk about it. There's a pin here and I don't know which way I've got to whack it. It's rusted and both ends look the same. Oh, it's turning to powder, so it's fine. Problem solved. Okay, so funny story time. It's the turn of the tide. The tide was pushing out and the wind is basically pushing in, and the boat is doing a big spin round, 180-degree spin round. And the keel, the sandbank is just behind us here, and the keel is going boop, boop, boop on the sandbank as we spin around, because we just happen to be sitting at a really awkward angle right now, and there's 2 meters of water. Good times. With the pin out via disintegration, it's time to get this propeller off so that we can access the gearbox and try and figure out why it leaked. Now, I'm the first to admit I don't know a lot about outboards. This is the first time I've ever pulled an outboard lower leg apart.
Oh, there's actually oil.
No, that's the oil.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's all of the oil.
So without really understanding how these lower legs go together, I was at a bit of a disadvantage when I came to pull it apart. I didn't know what was stopping it from coming apart. So after a bit of a think, and poking around with a screwdriver, showing Jess came up with a plan. While that was happening, Alena was learning how to change the gearbox oil in our small outboard.
There's actually oil coming out of this one.
Alena is draining the 3 horse, and then we're going to do a top up of new oil.
Jess's plan was simple, can't be tight if you're liquid.
I think I can kind of see it moving.
While that was happening, Birk was cutting up some stainless chains, so we had some more tie-down points to weld onto the boat for a project that's coming up.
Once again, it is a flurry of activity. So this has been painted with top coat. We have some oil from the gearbox oil changes yesterday we need to deal with. Plumbing fittings. Cliff, a local I met, gave me a ride to the plumbing shop.
Thanks, Cliff. It was great to meet you, mate.
And we managed to get a whole bunch of stuff that we needed to do our ventilation up top. The kayak paddle was on the ground because the guys have made and fitted new nets to the roof, which is cool. We've got more cargo storage. We also have some updates with our outboards. So gearbox oil has been changed on all 3. So 3 horse, 6 to 10 horse roughly. There's a bit of a question mark over that. Gearbox oil has been changed on that. And the 15 has had its gearbox seawater changed. So we've drained it. We're not going to put new seawater in. We're actually going to put oil in this time. So we need to understand why it was swapped from oil to seawater, assuming that's an unintentional swap. And we also have a bit more of an update on getting this bottom end out. So I've never stripped an outboard. I don't know what's in here. I assumed this finished here, but it doesn't. It finishes up here. So there's an O-ring here, which I've definitely killed because I've heated this, and there's an O-ring up here which is maybe okay but possibly still dead because of the heat transferring. But what I need to do is make a little puller. So I've seen somebody pulling on this shaft, which is probably not great because it's pulling on the bearing at the back, I'm assuming, but I don't know how else to get this out. So I'm going to make a puller that hooks onto the outboard and uses this shaft to drag that whole assembly out. I don't have a lot of choice. I've got to get it out. I have to replace the O-rings, bearings and seals, and I don't know how else to get this out. So I'm going to have a go, see if we can do it. Alright, so Alena and Birk are going to build the puller that we're going to use to get this off. While that's happening, I'm going to go up and strip the anchor winch down because I need to do some welding. So we'll get that done while the welder is out here. We're also going to weld up the puller that they're going to build. So we'll be doing a bit of welding and a bit of building. I'm going to go and strip this anchor winch down so that we can weld that back up properly. So what do I mean by weld it properly? Basically this nut needs to be welded to this stainless disc. So this is a bronze chain carrier, or gypsy sometimes they're called. It's basically a custom bit of bronze. It's got a big disc here, big disc there, and it's got some sort of dimply levery things in that grab the chain. Now the way that this particular winch works is this thread and nut and everything, when we do it up tight, it clamps everything, it sandwiches it between this brake disc and this brake disc here. Now what we need to do is, at the moment, the only friction that's being provided is between this nut and this stainless, which is rubbish. It needs to be much better than that. And the other day we put a whole bunch of anti-seize in there, which has removed all of our braking ability. So we need to take this off, clean the anti-seize off, and weld this plate to this nut so that the brake works as is intended. So this thread's actually a really fine thread so that we can get heaps of grunt when we do this up really tight. Originally it didn't have a fine thread on, and the thread actually went pear-shaped. Basically the shaft was bent, so we had to get a new shaft made, but at the same time we made some improvements by changing the thread pitch so we can get a lot more clamping force. It's machined very finely, which means it's actually quite hard to get off for some reason. Okay, I don't know why, but I can't for the life of me get this stainless, which should be like free floating, off. So plan B, we'll bring the welder up here and we'll weld it up in this end. Okay, so for whatever reason I can't actually get this off, but I think I've understand why that's happening now. So this is mild steel, this nut is mild steel, this is stainless, and normally they don't gall too badly, those two metals, they're different metals, so they don't gall up too badly. If this was stainless it would be terrible, but because we've been cranking on this nut, half of it has been touching the face and half of it hasn't been. I've ground it now, you can't see it, but there was a shiny surface and a painted surface, so I know that that was the case. And I can see in this here, there's a wear mark where obviously we've been cranking on this to lock it up. The brake system hasn't been built correctly to start with. Well, that was my fault, I should have welded this back in the day. But what I've done is I've cleaned everything up, so there's no anti-seize on anything now. So I should be able to wind this all the way in without it getting gunk on the welding area and actually weld it in place. And I also think that I'll be able to take the the stainless disc off by doing this, because it'll hold it centered, whereas when I'm trying to unwind it before, I can never get it absolutely perfect. And I think it's actually that galling that's caused it to have like a little bit of a lip that's sticking down into the threads. That's my theory anyway. So what my plan is basically to put it on like that, tack it up, and then pull it back out so that I'm away from everything, and then weld it properly. Plate welder to it. It's sort of an awkward spot to weld, but it really doesn't help when the boat starts pitching because your welder's going up and down with gravity. Alright, let's let that cool down and see how it goes. I was going to weld all 6 sides of that nut, but I think I won't. I think I'll leave it just with 2 decent ones. That's plenty strong enough to hold it in terms of braking. And then locking it up, you see this whole disc is turning in relation to this, which works perfect because that's supposed to work like a disc brake with sandwiching that disc of friction material there in between the stainless disc and the bronze chain gypsy there. So yeah,
Let's give that a shot. I think it's going to work.
Okay, back to the outboard. Obviously the next step in taking this gearbox out is getting some steel, a drill, a grinder, and making a puller.
Let's see if it actually fits.
Now that we know that it fits, Alena's going to weld the corners that we've just bent using some mild steel rod and heaps of amps.
Yeah, no, that's great. So that's normal, and you can just wiggle it and break it off. So see how you're getting way better fusing?
Yeah, and it's more consistent.
Yeah.
Looks good.
100%. So you could put that, so do the other one the same amperage, and then we'll put it up, I'd say go to at least 160. So you've done one down the centre, and then we'll do one down the bottom and one down the top. So you end up with two beads like side by side. And then when you get
like
those
you're
done,
building like a pyramid on top of the
reverse pyramid. Okay. So it's single, and then you do double, and then you do like triple.
Okay.
Yeah.
This felt like way easier than any of the other welding because it is so much slower.
Yeah, mild steel, beautiful, eh?
While Alena was using TIG, Birk was also welding, just using silicon.
Do we have to measure it out?
No, that's pretty good.
Kraken,
The Kraken! Release the Kraken!
I guess. Okay, we might need tape for those ones. I think those are heavier. Centered?
Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Oh, assuming that my fingers are both the same thickness, it should be perfect up there.
So this head is incredibly hot. We don't have insulation on the wall here. It's just metal. Didn't get to it. Hopefully we'll get to it at some point. It's designed that we can put insulation in here. It gets so hot.
Just make it in the middle.
Yeah. Please good.
Screwed in, obviously. Oh, maybe
It
it's
looks
just
really
because
cool.
it's flat.
The bunker, because it is a bunker, and Hobbiton, because it is Hobbiton. Two hobbits live in there.
We have to try and get this leg apart, and we've come up with one option, which is to just kind of whack it like that. We've got this out, we've got it cleaned up, we've got this basically stripped down, we've put this through the ultrasonic cleaner, it's come up beautiful. We've put a new O-ring on here. The seal itself is in very good condition, can't find a new one, but don't think we need to replace that. We have new fibre washers for the bung at the bottom and the bung at the top here. We're not 100% certain what's leaked and what's allowed water to get into this, but we can't see anything that would indicate that there's a mechanical problem with this stuff. The gears look fantastic. We think it's actually a fairly recent problem, so we're not sure. We're going to assemble it and run it and see what happens. This little pin falls out very easily, so I put a wee bit of rubber grease on there so that can stay in there and not fall out, because I need to lower this whole unit down into the gearbox casing itself. Right at the very far end is the thing that it flicks up and down and it pushes this pin in and out, which creates reverse or forward or neutral. So rubber grease is also needed for this O-ring here. We want to absolutely cake this O-ring in rubber grease, so I'm going to do that off camera just so I can do it with two hands, but that's so that that O-ring doesn't get damaged in any way when we're sliding it in. So I've put an absolute metric shit ton of rubber grease on the sealing face in there, just using a bit of Penrite clay based rubber grease, and then I've put it on
the O-ring face, the sliding face, so that whole unit should very easily slide in place to where it has to go, like that. And if we just bolt that up, that should slide in. Yeah, that's almost all home without even having to give it anything. Bolt that up and it's going to be donkey hoary. Normally I'd say use anti-seize, but I have rubber grease right beside me, and anti-seize is far, far away in a foreign engine room.
And he's really, really tired.
Yeah, and I'm really, really tired. You know what I want to do? Just run a dye down that thread and re-tap that because it's getting all manky.
You know where the dyes are?
Yeah, I know.
It's a far, far away engine room.
I know.
It will be the red dyes then, right?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. Thanks very much. Just think though, this will be running by the time you're back. Click, click. One thing we want to do is run a tap down this nut and a dye down the shaft as well. The shaft is probably fine. This nut is bronze, maybe brass, bronze probably more than likely. And it's a wee bit manky, so we just want to make sure it's absolutely spot on so that we can get this on, lock it up, and be good to go. Holder honours. Okay, here's something that I know nothing about, and if you do, I'd love to understand more in the comments. This prop is like pretty old. It's probably the original 40-something years old prop. However, this front steel washery looking part, I'm assuming is supposed to be bonded, rubber bonded to the rubber bushing that's in there that this is held onto the spline. Can you tell me if this is supposed to be separate or not? I don't know anything about outboards, and I'm just making the wild assumption that that isn't a great thing. I'm sure it's not going to make any difference if I bolt this on. The spline is still rigid and still solid, but yeah, I'd love to understand more about that. The other thing we think may have caused the problem is the fibre washers, the original fibre washers on the bungs. They kind of look old. They don't look terrible, they're not broken or anything like that. And I don't necessarily know if they would compress even if they're old. I don't know if that's a problem. Doesn't matter. Got two new ones just so that we can make sure that they don't cause any problems. But we're not seeing smoking guns as to why this filled up with water. So again, if you know outboards, like, talk to us in the comments. We would love to understand what your thoughts are about why you think this happened. Beck's been playing with that tap and dye for a while now to try and get that nut off there. It's a bit of a slug.
Almost.
Where's it? Oh, okay.
This one's...
Can you jiggle it? Oh, there we go. Okay. Where's the hole? One more. I'm not gonna get one more. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, that's what we're gonna get. And introducing the world's longest split pin. That's not coming out for anyone.
Great.
Right, let's get some oil in this thing. Gearbox is definitely full, so time to lock that up. Tried to start it the other day. We couldn't start it because the little lock thing that whenever you have got it in gear, it won't let you start it. That it basically stops you.
Hey, look at that, he can do it. He's figured out that it's this cable. We hadn't quite adjusted it right and it was jamming the motor up. So we should be ready to start getting this thing fired up now.
Should check if this actually works. Yeah.
You got reverse? Yep, there we go.
Yep.
Spinning, nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, hold.
Yeah.
There you go again.
Should we check for spark?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about the kill switch.
It's really important when trying to start an outboard is to make sure you got fuel.
Yeah. Sure, I can't smell fuel anywhere, so I don't think we're getting any fuel in the motor.
The lines are all connected.
It's not starting, and it can be basically spark or it can be fuel. And we've got spark, we just checked the spark plug and we're getting spark. So we pulled the little, there's a wee bung that goes out the very bottom there of the carburetor, and we're getting no fuel out of the float bowl of the carb, so we've got no fuel. So basically somewhere between that tank, this line, and this fuel filter assembly, fuel is not getting into the carburetor, and we can't smell any fuel either, so normally that's your first giveaway that you got no petrol going into the motor.
You know what would be incredibly helpful?
What's that?
Having like a pressure valve on the line.
One day we should put one of those in.
Really visible that the fuel filter was empty.
So the way we solved it was basically lifting this higher than the engine. Birk held the fuel line sort of horizontal and we jiggled it.
You could see
We could see the level come up in this fuel filter, and we actually took this line off to prove that that was the problem, and then once we knew that there was fuel getting out this line, put it back on the filter.
filter on? Yeah.
Wasn't as simple as we thought. Yeah, salt paper? Sure. Choke settings also.
Ooh. Not enough water.
Can you check the engine for leaks?
I think there's water leaking out of here. Yeah. It's definitely water coming out of here.
Okay, I'm going to leak at this end, little fuel leak. It runs.
Get in there.
Yep.
Very smoky.
So we've got a fuel leak up here somewhere. Something's dripping out, we have to figure out. It'll just be something in the carburetor. And Birk said he saw a little bit of water over here, so we just need to check what's going on there, dry everything off and then run it again, make sure that's working. And also we need to make sure our water telltale is working, so maybe we could pull that and that'll squirt water out of it hopefully.
That looks incredibly corroded, yeah.
Yeah, so it might be just a pipe that's no good. No, pipe's fine. So yeah, okay, couple of leaks to clean up.
There's a tiny dribble coming out.
Oh, there is a tiny dribble coming out.
Maybe it's just not high enough.
Maybe.
Like the intake is right here and
Yeah, right.
borderline.
Birk has the 15 horse attached and running on the boat. Because we don't have a bulb in our fuel system, we've put the tank up here to get a bit of gravity feed, which seems to be working a treat to get all the air bubbles out. Everything's running good.
Working good.
Nice. Nice.
After using the small outboard for so long, the single cylinder rattly noisy thing, we've forgotten just how quiet this motor is. We need to run this engine in, so we need to keep it under about 70% throttle and above about 25% throttle for the first 10 hours of its life. We don't want to thrash it, but we don't want to baby it. We just need to get those rings to bed in and all of the other metal parts to start wearing into shape.
So quiet.